Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to tonight's episode of Black Ibis Social Club. We are starting a little bit late, so I'm just gonna do it this way. Tonight, we got Lisa here. What's up, Lisa?
Oh, not a whole lot. It's kind of rainy outside. My kids are just within their school year, so today feels like a Friday for some reason, but it is not. It is a Thursday.
Right, right. Let me fix my camera. My camera's being weird. I'll leave it off for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're starting a little bit late. This was kind of a last minute change to our plan. I don't know if you know, but I had to fire Fisto. Um, yeah, he's fired.
Oh no.
Um, we fired Fisto because he doesn't like Stanley Kubrick. He said Stanley
What?
Kubrick movies. He said Stanley Kubrick movies are bad, so I told him no more. He
Get the
also
fuck out of
he
here.
didn't
Yeah.
know that Full Metal Jacket was a Stanley Kubrick movie, and just the fact that he didn't know that it just I can't be on the same podcast with him if he doesn't know who Stanley Kubrick is. So
Yeah.
he's done. I fired him. Goodbye, Fisto. No more. Sorry, I'm just
You know,
joking.
yeah.
I'm just
It's
like,
actually really funny. I think I might have already told this story on the podcast. I don't remember. Way back when Blockbuster was a thing and I was in film school, which is even makes the story even more embarrassing for me personally. I got into an argument with a Blockbuster employee. It was a friendly argument. It wasn't like a vicious, back and forth or anything. And we were talking about Spartacus
like
and
the movie.
the movie Spartacus. Yeah. And see, now I have to search it up just to make sure that I'm not going to be wrong again. Hold on. Spartacus. And of course, my dog's barking immediately as soon as we start recording.
That's how it always goes. Mine's about to start barking too.
Oh, no, I'm getting information on the frickin' TV series. Anyway, I was like, no, Stanley Kubrick didn't direct Spartacus, blah, 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 blah. And then so I go home and I realized that I was wrong. And so I called the Blockbuster back and said, hey, you were right. Because back in those days, you didn't have computers in your pocket. I had to actually like go home, look it up on my fucking computer.
That was like one of his first
Yeah.
movies. That was like one of his first
Yeah,
movies,
it was
right?
a really, really early one. That's why I didn't think he directed it, because it doesn't feel like a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah. Um. Well, before we start talking, and we're just gonna, I'm gonna fill
Yeah.
everybody in what
Yeah,
we've
he
been
did.
doing.
1960, film directed by Stanley Kubrick. Okay, just making sure.
No, I know for a fact that it is by
Yeah.
him. Like I
Yeah, I know.
remember.
I had to verify again because every time I tell this story, I'm like, oh, what if I'm wrong again?
What if I'm wrong? Like the worst part is like when you remember something, like,
Yeah.
and you're convinced that you're remembering it correctly,
Yeah.
and you argue with people, you make a big deal about it, you even insult people sometimes, and then you realize that, oh my god, I was wrong the whole time.
Yeah. And I
I
remember this like 20 something years later. Like,
Yeah, you're like, ah,
one time I was wrong about who directed
I was
Spartacus.
wrong about something, and
Yeah.
it's like the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
So started a little bit late today. Fisto's not here because he oh my gosh, he might join us. Get some static. It's not me.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? That happens sometimes when trucks go by. I've noticed that when we record, we've recorded before.
Oh,
we have
it's
static.
the Mossad agent trucks
Yeah. Yeah.
that are coming by.
Yeah.
Let me see if we can fix that.
Yeah. They're mad about my husband's bumper stickers or something.
Huh. But yeah, yeah, it's the no. Well, she's in Canada, so it's definitely not the NSA. It's got to be like
No.
Mossad or something.
CSIS. Yeah.
Mhm.
Your friendly neighborhood CSIS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
CMP.
so Fisto's he has some stuff to do. He might be joining us later. He had some emergency stuff, but he has the link so he can join us.
Mhm.
He said he might. It all depends on what mood he's in. He's probably gonna have some good stories if he does make it. Now, you know what I did today?
What'd you do today?
Well, first of all, Fisto actually messaged me, and he said, "This is like 2 days ago." And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm probably gonna be late. I might even make it on Thursday." Um, and I'm like, we'll just cancel. We'll just skip this week because I'm really busy. I have up until 2 hours ago, I had two extra children in my house that we were babysitting for a few days because
Mhm.
their parents had to leave the state real quick for a funeral, and they had nowhere to leave their kids, and didn't want to take them along because it's kind of like a difficult situation. So they asked us if they can stay over. So my house has been a freaking circus. I don't know how people have more than one kid. I mean, I'm like, oh, like
The second one, believe it or not, the second one is easier because you're already like, okay, I've done the diaper thing, I've done the whatever, just do it again. That said, I don't know, because I've only had the two. I don't know if that's the same.
right.
I'm sure with subsequent children, it probably gets easier and easier. But
Well, so this weekend, Saturday, we had a birthday party for my daughter, and it went really well, but it was about 30 something children at our pool, like our community pool, and it was just wild. We had like Demon Slayer anime stuff everywhere, and
Mhm.
Demon Slayer inflatable swords, and they were fighting with each other. And our buddy, he his present to my daughter was he got her a giant Demon Slayer pinata, and we set it
Mhm.
up, and they're all beating the crap out of this pinata. And there was these two girls, they were just beasts. Like, I'm talking about 9-year-old girls here, right?
Mhm.
And they were just destroying this pinata, like just man. And I was like, man, I'm like, these girls are beasts, you know. And then their mom's like, oh yeah, she's like state champion, little league, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty
Mhm.
impressive. I could tell because I like I smacked like in two things.
Mhm.
And but anyways, that was a lot of work. Like being out there with 30 kids in a pool, making sure nobody drowns, you know, all this stuff. And then the next day comes, and we're going to another party, and we go to a friend's house, and they live on the river. And it's I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. It's not really a river. There's rivers by us, but they're not really rivers. They're tidal rivers. Are you familiar with that?
Tidal rivers.
So tidal rivers they look like regular rivers. They're wide
Okay.
and water, but they're
Mhm.
basically inlets from the ocean, and they're not
Oh,
like
okay. Okay.
a regular river has like what do you call it, like a like a source.
Yeah.
Well, here's some crazy interference. Has like a source, like I don't know, a spring that starts it, or a bunch of rivers from the mountain come together. Tidal rivers are actually, they go the opposite direction, and then the
Okay.
tides bring it out. And but this
Mm.
is big, there's boats on it and everything, so it's pretty cool. But it was another thing where like there's a thunderstorm, like a lightning storm in the middle of it, and there's a bunch of kids yelling, and
Mhm.
another pool into the river, which was down by the pool. And it was just like, oh my god, by the time I was done, I was just like, this weekend's exhausting.
Mhm.
And then I have like one day of work, and then bam, I have more kids in my house. And I've come to the conclusion that, one, I really appreciate my daughter, because
Mhm.
for an 8-year-old, she is exceptionally interesting and fun and a good listener, and
Yeah.
great to spend time with. And two, I don't really know. I don't think I really like other people's children very much. Like
Yeah.
I like the
I've
idea, you know, like
yeah.
it's like other people's dogs too, right? I
Yeah.
want to be. I like the idea of being that guy that like Jenny likes playing with a bunch of kids and all this stuff. I just I just don't like it. I don't There's something inside of me that just doesn't I don't like it. I have a friend.
I've never liked other people's kids.
Yeah.
Birthday parties are a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, I have a friend. He's a younger guy, and he really enjoys kids, and all of them could tell that he really enjoys hanging out with them.
Mhm.
So it's like whenever he comes around, like he gets mobbed by like 20 kids. They follow him around, and they run around and all, and I'm just, and like, he's just like, he just really enjoys like kids, and they like love him because he's like younger. So he's like the younger guy that like is kind of in between the main friend group age, which is like
Mhm.
parents, and the kids. I think that's where they like him a lot. And him and his
Mhm.
girlfriend like are in their early 20s, so they kind of fit in the in between group. You know, like they're not like
Yeah.
12 and teenagers, but
Yeah.
they're also not close to us being, in our late 30s, 40s.
Mhm.
But he obviously, and he like genuinely enjoys it. I don't know how he does it. They like wear me out. I'm just like, dude, I want to avoid him. Like, I came home from work yesterday, and I had a long day at work, and there was kids screaming, and they're playing Fortnite, arguing about Fortnite. Uh, Arguing who gets to play on what tablet. Well, I don't
Mhm.
know. I was just like, oh, like, are they going to watch Teen Titans Go, or like Bluey, or like Demon Slayer, or whatever, And I'm just like,
Yeah.
bruh, I can't do this. I just
I
like
think
came in my office and just put headphones on, and I just like watched YouTube videos on
yeah.
repeat the whole time. I was like,
Yeah. I think what makes it even harder to like, okay, so there's always at least one kid in a friend group where you can't stand the parents.
Right.
That makes it even harder to deal with the kid, because it's like the kid could be like a total retard, and it's just like, well, I guess that's because of your parents. Sorry about your genetics there, kid.
Right.
But you can't, obviously, like, they're friends with your kids, so you can't say, no,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to play with that kid if there's like objectively nothing wrong with the kid. You just don't like their parents or whatever. But
Yeah. That's a lot of people.
yeah. Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's like sometimes the weird awkward one sometimes is there's certain couples and kids that are friends with my daughter who are like 50% of their parent group,
Hmm.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like I often like I like the wife, but I have nothing in common with the husband,
Oh,
or
one
like
of
vice versa.
one of my older son's friends from elementary school, I did not get along with the mom. So anytime that there was like group plans, I'm like, I had to tell my husband to coordinate, because like, I did not get
Right.
along with her at all.
You
The
you
dad was
do it.
fine. The dad was
Right.
fine, but
It's so interesting. It's like that, right? Because there's certain people, certain like couples at through my daughter's friend circle
mhm.
where I'm like, wow, I really like this dude. He's really cool. And then I meet his wife and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
I hate
There was
you.
there was one time she texted me because I let the kids go to the park, and like I can literally see the park from my house. What
Right.
makes you think that you can just let my son go to the park unplanned? And I'm
Well,
just like, okay,
he's
we got
19.
yeah, we got other parenting styles here, all right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
19, No, yeah, I'm always like that too. Cause like there's like the kids that like were over at our house this last couple of days, they're like their parents are like whatever, so like
Mhm.
we're just I let them watch whatever they want, and I'm like, yeah, you can watch like The Simpsons and stuff. But
Yeah.
sometimes we get like more like church kind of people come
Mhm.
over, and I'm like, um, I don't know if you can let her watch that Juniper. I mean, my daughter's name, Jay. Her
Mhm.
name is Juniper, but and I'm like, I don't know if you can watch that while she's here because it's kind of like maybe you
Mhm.
shouldn't watch like the thing
Yeah.
with your. I don't know, like you can
Pick
handle
a
it, but
Disney movie. This is the Disney
yeah,
movie box, yeah.
that's exactly what I'm like. Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever you have people over, it's a Disney movie, Bluey. I don't know, something
Whatever the
that's
kids are into these days, I don't
yeah,
know.
like the descent, whatever it's called, the
Yeah.
Descendants or whatever, the weird
Yeah.
Disney stuff. Yeah, but maybe not like I don't know, Chainsaw Man or something. I don't know. You can,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny because
Unplanned trip to the park. Like that's fucking childhood. Like, what
yeah,
the
you're
heck?
supposed to
Weird.
have unplanned trips. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, we were at a we were at the on the river the other day, and there was this girl that was there, and obviously her parents dropped her off, and her mom was like, she's like, oh, well, we need to ask my mom if I'm allowed to go tubing behind the boat. So like they're like calling their mom to ask permission. I'm like, man, just let the damn kid tube. If they die, they die. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's like, and then I thought, hey, I should ride the tube. And then my wife's like, you just had neck surgery, major neck surgery on your
Yeah.
spine. You should probably not be pulled behind a
Yeah.
fast motorboat on
Yeah.
a inflatable tube. And I was like, yeah, you're probably
Probably
right. So
not. Yeah.
especially after a few beers and stuff, which is,
Yeah.
by the way, listen, guys, there's a freaking rule here, right? And this is the rule. I am okay with, adults at kids like birthday parties, right? Like I don't think it's a bad thing, like it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
like my daughter's getting to the age of being dropped off now, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna have a kid's birthday party and you expect the parents to stay, you got to have beer or like booze or something. It's got to be like a
Mhm.
blended party. It's got to be a European style party where you drink at the same, like there's no such thing as kids parties in like Europe. Everybody's just kind
Yeah.
of it's just a party.
That's like a more of a communal thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's something that's so different about parenting now, or at least like even when my kids were little, versus pre 9/11. I think 9/11 really screwed everything up as far as like, like we already had stranger danger in the 80s and 90s, but
right.
like after 9/11 it went really weird, and that's when you got tons of like helicopter parenting and play dates. What the fuck is a play date? Like I never, like my kids are just like, hey, can I go for a walk with what's his face up the road? Yeah, sure,
Well,
but that said, I live in a city, but it's a small city. It's a city with a small town vibe. Like it's not a big city, maybe if I lived in a huge metropolitan area,
you'd have to change things. Well, see, here it's
but
really different because we here in South Carolina in the Low Country, we live in islands.
yeah,
Right. And what I mean by that, we live in islands is that, for obvious reasons, it's not really a town or a city. It's a bunch of connected, like private communities, if that makes
yeah,
sense. So like, you know, we live in Palmetto Forest, and
hmm
across the highway, there's, Pineapple Cove, and down the street, there's River Run Creek or whatever community, and they're all like not connected. You can't
yeah,
like a kid can't go to them,
yeah,
and so everything has to be kind of like, hell, we're going to Pineapple Cove to hang out with their community pool with all the people that live there tomorrow
yeah,
or something like that. And it's like that because that's it's the HOA kind of protect us from
yeah,
the ghetto. It's basically like fortresses is what they are. They're
yeah,
floating, like they're neighborhood fortresses.
hmm
And does it work? Does it do a good job of what it's intended to do? Yes. Is it the best for a cohesive community? Absolutely not,
no,
But what's interesting though, like, because I do live in a relatively small town compared to where I grew up,
hmm
we always run into people and we always know everybody because like we're like, oh, so like even at her party, we're like, oh hey, look, half the people here were from like the dance club, and
yeah,
then a third of them were from the school, and
hmm
then some people were from the church, and some people were from just the neighborhood, and there was tons of overlap between all three. Like people from our church also have like friends that go to the dance place, so then
hmm
they were at the second party. You know what I mean? All these disconnected people like everywhere that
yeah.
are all kids. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I bought a bunch of beer, and we all drank beer too. We're
Mhm.
like, we're gonna drink beer
I
from
mean,
the
that's
down
how
the
it always
sun.
was when I was a
Yeah,
kid. We were just
yeah,
sent down to the rec room and told to play Nintendo, and the
right,
parents were upstairs getting loaded. Like
right. You're
that's
like,
how
we're
it
having a
was in the
party.
'90s. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I feel like that's what my parents did it too. They're like, hey, everybody's coming over. We're gonna have dinner with all our friends, and then we're all gonna go in the backyard on the patio and drink beer and smoke cigarettes.
yeah,
And all the kids, cousins, and stuff. You guys go play Mortal Kombat for
yeah.
5-10 hours,
It was
until
the
somebody
worst when you
passes
had
out.
to go to some like rando's house and you didn't know the kids, but you had to
Right.
play with them and you had no choice. Like kids these days don't have that experience.
You
They
know
don't
what
have that
though?
experience of like forced friendships with kids that you don't like you don't know them and then you don't like them, but you have to play with them because your parents are friends.
Yeah.
You're
My
you're in
daughter's
you're
actually
in a
my daughter's
very brown basement. Everything is brown. And even in the
oh yeah.
90s, it's all from the 70s, or maybe that's just the socioeconomic
That's
class
probably
that
your
I come
guys'
from.
area. We didn't have
Yeah.
basements. Well, so we don't have basements here in South Carolina because
Yeah.
if you stick a
Yeah,
finger
that's
in the
weird
dirt,
to
well,
me that
we're in
but
a
I've heard
swamp,
that.
so
Yeah.
you can't really have a basement down here
Yeah.
unless like if you dig here, it's like mud, it's like sand,
Yeah. Yeah.
And in California, there's no basements because it's like, well, it's on a earthquake fault line,
Yeah.
so
Well,
it's not a
we're on the Canadian Shield, so we just explode the
right.
ground and like there are some really old basements here, like 100-year-old and up homes that are literally just blasted rock.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's very
Granite.
Midwest also too, right? I think the
Yeah.
Midwest is like that
Yeah.
too.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no basements in California. I mean, I'm sure
Mhm.
there is some here and there, but for the most part, we don't have basements. And so I grew up with no basements. But see,
Mhm. But you
I
also
think
don't have winter. And
yeah,
although like kids do play outside in wintertime, but it's a lot more convenient to just play Nintendo in the basement.
right. We have winter for like a day here, so it's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
everybody's out in the street. It's like the
No,
biggest event of like the year.
we have 9 months of winter.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Uh,
He gets used to that.
that's about 9.5 months too much. I think snow is
Yeah.
cool. Look, I was actually having a conversation with a friend. Snow is cool. It's beautiful when I
Mhm.
don't have to live there.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not just I don't have to live there when I don't have to work there. That's like
Yeah.
where the big thing is. If I was like rich and had this big house with heat and stuff, like yeah, I'd be perfectly fine.
Hmm.
But having to wake up in the morning to heat my car, get dressed
Yep.
to leave at 5 in the morning, no, absolutely not. And like
Yep.
right now, like my air conditioning in my house is crapping out. It's just not working very well. It's been 90
Hmm.
something degrees with full humidity, and my air conditioning is dying. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't have like 10 grand to replace this stupid thing, So I gotta
Hmm.
kind of live with fans or something until I come up with like 6 to 10
Yeah.
grand or however much it costs to get a new air conditioning. But
Yeah. If
what I wanted to
anything's,
talk to you about
yeah.
today,
Yep. 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 Yep.
I actually go ahead.
No, go ahead.
If anything's broken, I just leave it broken forever. Well, no, I wanted to
Okay.
hit our topic so we don't go off on a
Yeah.
million tangents like we usually do. What I want to talk about was books. And I wanted to talk specifically about like, well, you've written a few books and you've
Hmm.
independently published these books, right?
Yep.
And I want to know. I feel like there's a lot of, in a whole, like our favorite person on Substack, who's always complaining about not being published by the publishing houses or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question is, I kind of want to talk about publishing. I want to get some ideas. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want to see your opinion, and I'll give you guys my opinion, right? And I
Sure.
think this is going to be. I want to approach like what is the feasible, realistic way to look at publishing, or why are we doing this? Why are we writing this? Because I'm almost done with the novel I'm writing right now, and I really like it. I
Hmm.
think it's no, I actually hate it. I hate every second of it. I hate everything. But
Just, I'm going to
that's
interrupt for
normal.
just real quick. How's your internet connection going? You're chopping in and out on my end.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
I haven't had any issues. I don't know if anybody else.
Does anybody else hear him chopping in and out, or is it just me?
Let me see. Okay, it might
It
be
could
just
be me.
your.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's me. I don't know.
yeah, you
I
sound
will.
fine
I
on my
will
end.
listen. I will listen attentively and see if I can
Okay.
answer your question.
So books publishing. You have people complaining about being, the New York establishment doesn't want to publish me, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, first of all, who cares? Who gives a shit about New York and that kind of stuff? Because I read a lot. I mean, I'm sure you read a lot also.
Mhm.
And most of the people that listen probably read a lot. Like I know Fisto reads a lot and I have friends that read a lot. So I know for a fact that people still read. But the
Yeah.
interesting thing is, how are people finding books? Right?
Mhm.
That's kind of like that's kind of the question, the $1 million question, right? Because 20 years ago, you would pick up the Los Angeles Times or the New York Times and look at the book reviews. You'd pick up, I mean, there's all those lit mags that people read, but you'd read, people would read the New York review of books, the Los Angeles review of books.
Mhm.
Also in California, we had the weekly magazines, for example, the LA Weekly and the OC Weekly, the Orange County Weekly, which
Mhm.
had a bunch of book reviews, movie reviews, a bunch of local stuff reviews, and that's how you found books, right? I don't. How do how do people find books now? Do people actually? Nobody like. I haven't read the New York Times or the LA Times in over a decade. Do people like read? Right. Um. So the question is, where's like the power? Who has the power? I
Social media.
know.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
the lit mags are completely dead. There's some like there's some indie lit mags, like people who just feel, for example, okay, we're on Substack. There's a ton of Substack lit mags that have followings and stuff. And
Right.
maybe they also have an accompanying podcast, or they have some sort of Patreon, or they have like whatever. There's an entire book blog, quote unquote, industry, and people follow them more based on the individual person's personality than they do any credentials or anything like that. Like nobody gives a shit.
Right.
Nobody that I talk to anyway. I'm not like a highfalutin intellectual, but nobody that I interact with has ever given a shit over whether or not a book got a New York Times review or anything like that. Like that's just not how it is anymore. It's all parasocial relationships and like social media.
Right. Like, I don't know. Do you know who won the last Pulitzer Prize or who won the last Booker Prize?
You know what? I do. I will see that a prize has been announced. I go, oh, interesting, and I will look at the book, and I probably won't care about it, and then it vacates my brain. So I was at one time aware of who won, but I don't remember because it
Hmm.
wasn't a book that seemed to interest me. I know that recently there was a big award that actually went to something that technically qualifies as science fiction or something, but I don't remember anything about the book because I don't know.
Because
It
you just,
wasn't.
yeah, because
Eh,
it just, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Just
no.
how, like, you're like, oh wow, let me catch up on all those Academy Award winning
Yeah.
movies that
Well,
won.
well, well. Even specifically genre-based awards like Nebula, the Hugos, whatever. Who cares
Yeah,
anymore?
I haven't
Who
followed
cares?
I haven't followed them at all. I've noticed that this is how I buy books, because I buy books a lot, and I'm like an impulse buyer of it.
Yeah.
I buy more books than I should. And the way I buy a book is sometimes I'll go to Barnes and Noble and I
Hmm.
walk around and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And I order it on Amazon. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I buy it there.
Oh, excuse me.
Um, and then if I really like it as I start to read it, I actually order it on my Kindle because I prefer to read on my Kindle than
Hmm.
I do. I just like to read in bed, and it's much easier to read the
Yeah,
digital
especially
from my phone.
hardcovers are uncomfortable for me. I don't know if it's like my dainty lady hands or something, but I have a hard time reading hardcovers. I'm a paperback girl, or ebook or paperback. But
So
they've killed mass market paperbacks now, so
right.
fuck me, I guess.
So my wife, I think 2 years ago, or maybe last year, for either Christmas or Father's Day, or one of those, she
Mhm.
she got me a really nice, like, three book fancy kind of edition of Haruki Murakami's IQ 84,
Mhm.
and I started reading it finally. I'm like, okay, but I was reading, it's a nice kind of hardcover, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to
Mhm.
read like this book, So I ended up
Yeah.
like buying it on Kindle because I can read it in bed. I can read it in bed without the lights on, where I'm not waking
Yep.
her up, and I'm not, I could just like lay flat in bed and hold it in my Kindle, and I don't have
Yeah.
to like use a book light. I don't have to do any of that, and it's so much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
So I've made it a new rule where I'm just going to read everything on my Kindle. And I
Mhm.
know people are like, but you don't own your Kindle. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter, right? If I really like a book, if I think it's fantastic, then I'll buy the hardcover. So I'll
Yeah.
collect books I love, but all the trash that like I just read every day, right
Mhm.
onto my Kindle.
Yep.
Um, so I do random purchases when I walk into bookstores.
Mhm.
The picture that under the Book Life is an actual bookstore in Savannah. I actually took that picture. It doesn't The quality is kind of crappy, but it's from a real bookstore. And then I Substack and podcast, right? I listen
Mhm.
to the Bret Easton Ellis podcast, and he's got a guest on, and his guest on is like, just recently there was a writer named, oh, her last name's Levy. She wrote this book called Flat Earth, and she sounded interesting. The book sounded good. She's like one of those New York dime square kind of people,
Mhm.
and I was like, huh, well, I might read that. So I'll tell you now, so you can look it up. You guys can look it up. Or Annika, her name is Annika Jade Levy, and the book is Flat Earth,
Okay.
right, by Annika Jade Levy. I picked it up because, well, I was like, well, I don't know. She sounded interesting on Bret Easton Ellis' podcast, and I like, if she sounds interesting or somebody sounds interesting, I buy it. Sometimes he has guests on, and I'm like, nah,
Mhm.
not my type of dude. Not interested in this
Yeah.
guy, so I don't buy the books or whatever they're selling or they're moving.
Mhm.
The other way I buy books is, somebody's like having a conversation about a book or mentions it, and I look it up and I go, I'll buy it, and I impulse buy it.
Yeah.
Or I'll get like a weird vibe where I'll use a lot of time. I'll use like Amazon, like referrals, or
Mhm.
people will mention it. I think I'll look for books. Do people talk about them in the podcast? I go, I want to read them. I
Yeah.
just don't. There's no like official though. Like, what I mean? There's no like, I don't read any like official industry reviews. It's all
Yeah.
like word of mouth basically, or word
Word
of
of
mouth
mouth.
through the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say it's the same thing for you?
In my observation, yeah. Like, okay, so the way that I choose books is word of mouth is huge. If I say, for example, one of my buddies on Instagram or something posts his review of some like wacky vintage paperback novel, I'm like, okay, I gotta find that. I'm gonna go see if it's at my bookstore. Blah, 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 blah. Or um, speaking of podcasts, the Frank and Brady podcast, friends of the show, or
Right.
at least, of us. I don't know. But anyway, so they'll post early about like what book they're going to review. And a few months ago, well, I was a guest on there to talk about Jack Vance book, but before or after that, I don't remember. And they were reviewing The Stars My Destination by Alfred Bester. And I'm like, oh, that's a book that I've heard about. And I've been hearing about it for ages. It's a classic sci-fi novel, and it's on my list of shame. I should probably get around to reading it now. And I did. And it was really, really good. It's like Count of Monte Cristo in space, basically,
Right.
or in the future. And I really, really enjoyed it. So like that's sort of like I said before, like parasocial, word of mouth, just hearing other people, like, okay, from from me as an author, all right, and as a reader, an author can blab nonstop about their own books and it'll get
Right.
a sale here and there. But when someone else talks about the book, and this is why reviews, especially for like indie novels, and I include small press in indie, not just self pub. So self pub, small press books. Reviews are really, really important, because there's, especially in the self pub space specifically, because at least in the small press, it's had other eyes on it. It's had someone's seal of approval, but in the self pub space, there's none of that. And these days, you don't even know what's a fucking clanker that wrote the book, right?
Right.
So reviews give legitimacy to a book, but even better than Amazon reviews or Goodreads reviews is just yapping about a book. Like, just when you're having coffee, talk about a good book that you've read or a shit book that you've read with your buddies as if it was a regularly published book. Like it is a book. Like, just, I don't know. And this is going on a little bit of a side tangent, but I don't know if you've noticed that there's like this weird embarrassment in regards to recommending self-pub books. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this. It's almost like, even if you have absolutely nothing to do with the author, it's almost like shameful to admit that you read a self-published book. It's really weird. I haven't noticed it everywhere, but there's a specific type of reader, I guess,
There were,
who,
you know what? I think you're right, but I
yeah,
think
I
I
don't know.
think to be fair, that has started to go
It
away
has, it
significantly.
has, it has
Uh,
started to go away. Yeah.
10 years ago or so, 15 years ago, when the whole, early, Amazon stuff started publishing, there was still a mystique about the magic of, traditional publishing. And then the
Hmm.
reality is, there with podcasts, like stuff like Bret Easton Ellis, where, he's a huge writer, and he'll say something like, yeah, they don't edit stuff anymore.
Oh
He
yeah,
even
yeah,
he
yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
said that,
The mask
like
is totally off now.
like a book like his work. He's like, he said he was reading his own book, and he's like, wow, if they obviously didn't even bother to edit it, because he's like, my old editor before, before the dark ages, they would have absolutely caught these things, and now they
Yeah,
don't. And he said he found out from other writers that
yeah.
are getting like smaller deals, that they don't even bother editing. And so
Isn't
really,
that
like,
stupid?
so
And
what
then
did they
and
do?
it's actually really fucking frustrating as someone on the self pub side, because although it is starting to break down, we are in a very like self pub bubble on Substack specifically. Like,
Right.
you know, but in the wider reading world, there is still like this uh uh skepticism over the quote unquote, I'm doing big air quotes here, quality. And it's like, do you know how many trad pub books I've picked up with huge typos all through them?
Right.
But for some reason, if a self pub book has some typos, it'll be a 1-star review on Amazon. This person clearly doesn't even speak English. And it's really funny when that happens and you do actually speak English, but it's not US English, so your spelling conventions are slightly off. This hasn't happened to me personally, but I know that it has happened, especially authors from the UK. But there's typos everywhere. No, we just spell different.
That's interesting. So in the literary, yeah, you are late. We started late, Jason. We started late. In the literary like kind of world, I feel like, to me, I'm attracted to the idea of independent small press self-publishing stuff because I just like the idea of I like this punk rock kind of aesthetic. I like
that's what really drew me to self-publishing, is because it was way more like DIY punk rock. If I'm gonna fuck up my book release, I'm gonna be the one responsible for fucking up my book release. You know what I mean? Not some schmo in Toronto.
Right. So the interesting question now is, the idea of being a writer. Like, do dudes want to be writers anymore? I think they do, right? Guys still want to be writers. I know, like, there's a lot of women that want to be writers still because we see them all over Substack. There's plenty of guys that want to be writers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the idea of the writer as, maybe 20 years ago when, I don't know, when the industry still existed, maybe, or in the 90s or something, the 80s, you had these guys and they're like, they would go get the MFA or whatever, and they'd write a book, stuff like, Jonathan Franzen and that kind of stuff. And they would become like, it's kind of like mini celebrities. Like, to be honest, being a writer is kind of gay to begin with. It's like, it's like not that cool, but it was still kind of cool. Like, I'm going to write a few books about like getting high in New York, and then I'm going to sleep with some girls, and they're going to throw a bunch of money. I'm going to buy a house, and then I'm going to retire teaching or something like that, and then I live well off my royalties, and maybe my thing gets picked up for a movie and it's great, and I make some money off of that. Read a script or something. But that's not going to happen now, right? Like, people don't make money off of writing, right?
The only way that you become a writing celebrity now is if you make an ass of yourself on Twitter or some shit. I don't know. Or if you get a movie deal. Movie deals are the only way to really make bank these days.
And even that is like a complete and total crapshoot, right? Or you find some like strange lightning in the bottle, and you write some, like, you write the next thing like romantasy, or minotaurs humping each other or whatever, so the question for us is like, why? But Alex, why are you writing? I go, well, it's obviously not my main source of income, right? I write in the same reason I do this podcast, because I enjoy doing it. I like the idea, I have no illusion that I'm going to be like Bret Easton Ellis in the 80s, and I'm going to be flown around by, first of all, I'm 43 years old, so nobody's going to fly me around to give speeches in like Munich or something like that at literary conventions. Second, I'm not going to write nothing I write is ever going to be of interest to the kind of people that go to literary conventions in Munich.
That's something else. That's another reason why I decided to self-pub too, because it's like, I don't appeal to a certain I can't speak English. Political polls. Political polls are not, I'm not pandering to one end or the other, and kind of just doing my own thing, and that pisses people off. You have to pick a side, right?
So yeah, in a way, people say, "Oh, is it a hobby?" Well, it's not really a hobby. Like, fishing is a hobby, right?
Yeah,
because fishing's fun. Writing is not really fun. So I don't know. It can't really be a hobby. Like it can't really be a hobby.
You want to sit in your room and be miserable for hours.
Like fishing is like, you get to like take beer and stuff with you and hang out in the outdoors. Writing is like miserable, and you do it like at 2 a.m. by yourself, and it's like, it sucks, right?
Are you a weirdo who thinks about killing yourself all the time? Writing's for you. If not, maybe pick something else. I remember reading a statistic. I don't remember where this was. This was absolutely like years ago, and someone did a study looking at different creative occupations: potter, sculptor, whatever, all these different like art things. And ranking like right at the top of most mentally ill was poets and novelists, like writers.
Right.
I thought that was
Writing
fucking hilarious.
poetry, like
Yeah.
you have to be mentally ill. Like if it's
You have to be
2020, like
mentally ill.
it's like 2020, it's like 2026. I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to be a poet. You're like, no, nobody wants to hear it. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like your own
Yeah.
mom doesn't want to hear this
This
crap,
is
you
why
know?
this is one of the reasons why AI generated writing pisses me the fuck off so much. It's like, let us have this. Okay.
Yeah.
I once got into a major beef with someone about okay, does anybody remember several years ago there was this big thing? NaNoWriMo is defunct now because of
I
this.
forgot about that stuff.
NaNoWriMo, yeah, because they got sponsored by Pro Writing Aid, which went all in on the LLM shit. And so one of the people who ran the PR for Nano was like, "Oh, well, if you're against AI, then you're ableist. Like, fuck yourself."
I'm ableist.
I guess
It's
I'm
my right
ableist
as a handicapped person to have
to
a
steal other
computer
people's
put out
work.
slop.
And
Shut
it's
up,
like,
dude.
listen, I have multiple diagnoses, okay? And this is what I do. This is like the only thing I'm good at, okay? I can knit and I can write. That's about it. So it just, oh my god, it just pisses me off. And like you were saying, like nobody's gonna become a writer's celebrity unless you were a celebrity for another reason, like you're a YouTuber who happened to publish a book and you really fuck up royally and everybody's hate reading your book. Okay. That sort of thing. Nobody's becoming, so these fucking guys who think that they're gonna become bajillionaires for shitting out a bunch of generated AI shit books. Who are you fooling? Like, it boggles my mind.
Right. It's
Nobody
like,
and
man,
like
I want to read a bunch of slop.
you want to have written, but you don't actually want to write. Like, get the fuck out of here. Find a different room, you know? Like this is not the place for you. Take your AI shit somewhere else. Make like a crypto shit coin, pump and dump, and get rich. Don't be in the writer space. Get the fuck out of here. It pisses me off.
Did you ever like play like role playing games when you're like young, like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, yeah. I didn't play D&D till I was a little bit older, but like basically every childhood game is
Okay.
role play,
So
right? Yeah.
when you have like a role playing game like Dungeons and Dragons and you play as
Yeah.
like a kid, like like a middle schooler,
Mhm.
there's always there's a subtype of like acquaintance, right? A friend.
Mhm.
And they're the kind of guy that like they're not like in your direct friend group of people that play D&D. They're
Yeah.
like they're like tangential or
Uh-huh.
somewhere next door, and they show up and they're like, "Oh man, like I have a level 78 druid, man, and I could did all
Yeah.
this stuff." And I'm like,
Yeah.
they're a magic penciler. Sure you did.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's like, where'd you play? Who do you play with? He's like, oh, well, I play with my cousins at their secret basement dungeon lair. It is so cool. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I conquered a village and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Sure,
My uncle
man.
works at Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that guy. That's the same. Like the guys at AI, right? That's the same vibe. It's the the like, I'm a writer, man. Like it's the like I'm the prompt creator. I'm an artistic, creative prompter of things.
Yeah,
And I was like,
get the
dude,
fuck
shut
out of here.
up, dude.
I once so I got mad at someone once because they're like, oh well, I only use it for as a brainstorming tool. And it's like, brainstorming is the easy part. Brainstorming is the easy part. Actually executing your ideas is the hard part.
Right.
I could sit there all day and fill notebook after notebook over like, character name and like, a bunch of squiggly lines all over the page and like making, surrealist art pieces over like my ideas and shit, but actually making the sentences to make those ideas work.
Right. That's the actual work. That's the actual writing. Because like every single night I lay in bed and like I'm fondling my balls
So,
and
like,
I've like written 10 novels basically, in my head. I'm like, that's great.
If you're even using an LLM for brainstorming, like
the funnest part of writing.
Yeah. Like, come the fuck on.
Like it comes down to like
so
commodifying everything, making taking out the artistic element of something and making. And the reality is that Nobody wants to read it because the only reason. So
Yeah.
this kind of ties into like this kind of ties into like, how about the novel, right? You have 3 novels on Amazon right now, right?
Yeah.
For guys that don't own them yet, you've got
Yes.
Palace, which is awesome. It's a sci-fi about a creepy colony on an asteroid. The Ghost of Tyrus Cole, which is awesome, another awesome one. Which is kind of like Dune meets Princess of Mars type of adventure. And then you got the Highway Kennedy Thornwick,
The
which
Highway
is
Kennedy Thornwick. Yep.
which is the one I haven't read yet. Actually, I still need to get around to reading it. But the question is, why do why do you think the novel itself does it have a is it still a viable art form? You know what I mean? Because that's what we're writing here. When we talk about
Yeah.
I'm writing a book, we're talking about I'm writing a novel, right?
Yeah.
And we're living in an age where people might disagree with me. The novel was for a while the premier art form of the early 20th century, the 19th century. Uh, the film was actually, in my opinion, the premier artistic medium for
Yeah.
the American 20th century, but
Yeah.
it competed very well with the novel. But now we're getting to the world where, like, a very fractured world, a very world where, like, people live in their own worlds. And
Mhm.
one thing we don't have, and people mention this all the time, is that there's no water cooler stuff, right? There's no
Mhm.
more shared culture. Everybody lives in an individual culture.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, people don't read anymore, people don't even watch movies anymore, right? When was the last time you went to work and talked to people, or social groups, and talked to
Mhm.
people about a movie you just recently saw in the
Mhm.
theaters? It's so rare, right? It's so rare, right?
You know what weirds me out? This whole like shitting on quote unquote performative reading. Like back in the day, people read in public all the time. Why is
Right,
this weird now? Why is it
right.
suddenly like, oh, look at this fucking guy. He's got this book in his hand in a coffee shop. Like, why do you give a shit? Let him
But
read, dude.
everything we do is performative, right? When you
Ever
think about it,
I mean,
right?
yeah.
It's like,
Getting dressed, choosing your clothes to wear
right.
when you leave the house, that's performative. Like,
Where
I don't know.
so it's just silly. But thinking about it, I was thinking about, like, I'm like, people don't have a shared culture, or say that a lot, right? But
Yeah.
then I go to work, and all the dudes are talking about anime that they've
Mhm.
just watched, or manga that they just read. um or for a while I got a bunch of guys at my work to read Blood Meridian, and that was
Mhm.
for months that was an
Oh,
inside
good.
joke. Like, everybody, like, I had all these like
Uh,
20-year-old kids talking about, like, the judge and quoting the
yeah,
judge and stuff.
yeah,
So people want to read. It's just that they need to be it needs to be brought to them.
yeah.
They need to be good stuff needs to be put in front of them, and they need to read it. I always tell people, like, you need to kind of unlearn everything you've learned in school, because
Yeah.
the number one destroyer of readers in their 20s is high school educations, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like whoever sat down and created the curriculum for English and literature uh, hated English and literature. So
Yeah.
their goal
Yeah.
was not to make readers. Their goal was to make people that gave up on reading forever. So when you
Mhm.
when you get people reading, there's connection there. So I think, and this is my opinion, and you guys can say I'm wrong,
Mhm.
I think that the novel is still one of the premier mediums, right?
Yes. I agree
For
with that.
art.
Yeah.
I think it does, and the reason is because it does something that a film cannot do. The
Mhm.
nearest art form that can actually compare or compete with the novel is actually the long form television show, something like
Mhm.
True Detective, The Sopranos, um, Mad Men,
Yep.
Breaking Bad. That's the nearest thing you can get to the novel in a television format. But I
Mhm.
think that the novel does something that, to this, until you have direct, like, brain to brain communication, like in Cyberpunk or something like that, where you can actually
Mhm.
feel and see things directly, without a window in front of you, without a
Mhm.
screen in front of you. um you can't you're not going to top the novel. Like, nothing has
No.
the level of interiority that a novel does.
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's still a viable medium. And
Yeah.
because of its lo-fi. Now here's a caveat I want to add to this, right?
Yeah.
When I say the novel, I don't mean the book, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that are tied up in this idea that the novel and the book are synonyms, right? When they're
Mhm.
absolutely not. A book is a physical object,
Yeah.
right? A novel does not have physicality. A
Mhm.
novel can be put into a book format, but not all books are novels, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean is that like we're not going to see the death of the novel. We might see the death of, certain book formats, like, the mass market paperback, for example, right?
Mhm.
Why? Because let's be honest, the Kindle is much better than the mass market paperback, right?
Yeah.
And or just any paperback, right? The pocket paperback. And people say, "Oh, well, you don't own your book." But let's be honest here, all those paperbacks you bought, and those 15 giant blocks of Wheel of Time that I bought when I was 19 years old, yeah, those got tossed out because they're yellow and they're disgusting and they don't hold up. Okay.
I have a vintage Louis L'Amour novel right here, and it was $1.95. What year was this published in? My son reads cowboy novels, so I got him some Louis L'Amour. 1980, $1.95. Okay, and then I have a. It was published a couple of years ago. Another a paperback. Oh, was this U.S. or Canadian? It doesn't say, so I'm going to assume US. So the US price on this one is $11. $11 for a mass market paperback. So that's 15 Canadian. $15. And you know what it really gets me? Hopefully you were still hearing me. I had to walk away from the mic. Anyway, yeah. Is that's what ebooks are priced at now. Right. It's like, well, we got rid of the mass market paperback, so we'll just price the ebook version the same as the mass market paperback. Like, I remember when e-readers were first a thing, and like every book was like 99 cents because publishers did not take it seriously at all. And that's how J.K. Rowling made so much freaking bank, because she's just like, can I keep the ebook right? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, I guess you can keep the ebook right, stupid woman, right? And now she's like a bajillionaire.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And nobody was taking it seriously, so ebooks were really, really cheap. And this goes into a side tangent. There are so many people in the self-pub space, like writers, who do not have the confidence to price appropriately. And it's like, look at trad pub prices, okay? I regularly see ebooks now for $15, regularly. New releases. Mine are $8.99 in US and Canada. I think the rest of the world is based off of the US price. Right. If you're getting it off Amazon. So $8.99. And some people think that that's too high. And I'm like, that's half the price of a freaking Tribe Pup ebook. And this goes for every form of art, not just writing. Okay. Price what you are worth. People will actually be more likely to buy a book if it is not if it doesn't seem cheap. So your 99-cent book, your $1.99 ebook, do not do that. You not only are you devaluing your own work, but you are devaluing the work of your peers. So fucking stop it. Price what you are worth. Okay.
Right. I agree.
Anyway, that's a totally side tangent though.
Well, and one of the things like that some Greg is asking. Her name is Lisa Kuznak. He asked what your name
Lisa
was.
Kuznak, yes. Kuznak.
So I'm like I said, I am people like want, I don't know, like I think there's a little bit of a fetishizing of actual like books, right? People like this idea. Like to me, I'll pay $12.90, I'll pay $16 for an ebook, right? Why? Because I'm gonna read it, right? And I don't really have a lot of shelf space. So
Hmm.
unless I specifically love it, I'm not going to put it on my shelf. Even if I
Yeah.
bought it like a paperback, as soon as I read it, I'd probably like stick it in a box somewhere, and then
Yeah.
it's just going to get tossed away or given away because I can't save. I've read so many books in my life, guys, that if I
Hmm.
kept every single paperback I've read, it would be
Yep.
ludicrous. I've literally
That's
read,
why.
if you look
Yeah.
at my if you look at my like if you look at my Goodreads account, I've probably read like 300 books in the last like 3 years. So there's no freaking way I'm going to like I wouldn't have room in my house for all this stuff, right? It'd
No.
be
Yeah.
like horrible.
Hmm.
And the reality of it is like I want to read the novel. I want to experience the novel. So if I get it, on a Kindle, I can get it. I can read it anywhere I want for the
Yep.
next, I don't know, 10 years until Amazon goes out of business or something like that.
Yeah.
And if
Well, one
it,
one thing that made me get an e-reader. I have a Kobo, and when my oldest was a baby was when the one of the Kobo, I don't remember what it was called at the time, came out. It was the whole e-reader thing was still really new at the time. And he was going through a thing where he was a baby and he would not nap on his own. He would only nap physically on me. So I was stuck in a chair for hours a day. Hours. If you've never had a baby, listeners, sometimes you're stuck in a chair for hours a day.
right,
And so having being able to read one-handed, oh, fantastic. What an invention. So good.
right.
So I've been pro e-reader ever since then.
I've been a pro e-reader for the last like almost 15 years because
Yeah.
I've been in the military for a long time.
Well, that's
And
how old my son is now. So yeah.
right, and I remember like I don't know, many, many years ago, my wife bought me my first Kindle, and I was resistant at first because I was like, "Oh, I'm a book snob."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Huh, I can take 40 books with me on a deployment,
Yeah.
and if I want another book, I could just buy it." So, like,
Yeah.
on my last deployment, I was working in Papua New Guinea in the middle of nowhere, and I went
Hmm.
I went there with 50 books in my Kindle. I read them
Yep.
all, but then while I had the internet, so I was like, "Huh, I want to buy this one too, and I want to buy this one too." It
Hmm.
was while I was in Papua New Guinea actually that Neil from Pylon Press sent me the draft copy of Shagduck.
Oh
And
wow.
I downloaded it over my phone and I hooked it up to my Kindle, and that's how I read, the basically like the second or third draft copy of it
Nice. That's
before
cool.
anybody else. And I was like, I think I was one of the first few people to ever read that book.
By the way, new listeners, listen to the interview with the author of Shagdog, JB Jackson.
Yep.
Do that.
And if you haven't,
And if you haven't read Shagdog, you
it's a
should also read
fantastic
it.
book.
I
And the
haven't read the
sequel,
sequel yet. I haven't read the
Ursula,
sequel yet. Yeah.
Ursula of it's
Yes.
basically the book is basically about a librarian in Texas in the 70s, and it is a trip. It's like basically like a Texas American version of Foucault's Pendulum. It involves weird occult secrets, a professor that might have gone to a different dimension, a demon named Shagdug,
Hmm.
possibly a witch. But then a lot of it is just like weird divergences of going to record stores, playing in the bands, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
I love this so much. I read it in one day while chain smoking 2 packs of cigarettes.
Nice.
I just
Nice.
sat like I
That's
sat by the
awesome.
pool and I just read the whole thing from like morning to night. And I was really hungover because I had like 20 gin and tonics the night before. And that day
Nice.
I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and just read all
I like a
day.
good gin and tonic. That's
Yeah,
a
that's my
good
that's my
good summer
summer
drink.
drink.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
so
Side
what I want
note.
to
Oh, go
well,
ahead.
real
Go ahead.
fast.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead because mine's gonna be long.
Okay. Just real quick. I've been noticing a trend online called cigarette books. And it's like, how do you define a cigarette book? And I've seen it defined two ways. I've seen it defined as books that make you want to smoke a cigarette for one reason or another, like it's a miserable read or whatever. It's like, oh, I need a cigarette, and then the other definition I've seen is books that you can read on a smoke break. I think if I were to define a cigarette book, it would probably I don't know, a mix of both, like something that I can take outside with me, have a smoke to, um, or something with like serious or subject matter or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. I've been seeing it like last couple weeks. I've been seeing it on like Instagram. I've seen it a couple posts on Substack about it. So this is like a new trend. I don't know. Anyway, just an observation. Cigarette
No,
book.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
the question is, are we um is and people say like, okay, one argument I never bought, okay, and then you guys
Mhm.
can tell me right now. People say, oh well, nobody reads anymore because nobody has the attention span, which I don't really
Mhm.
buy that because okay, here's the thing. Like, first of all, young people like like young millennials,
Yeah.
Gen Zers and stuff, right? These guys have like an autistic level of attention span. You know, they're playing these
Mhm.
like super long, complicated video games that
Yeah.
require tons of reading, tons of, you know, they're very
Mhm.
complicated, or they watch really complex anime that's way more complex than anything we
Mhm.
had when we were young. Um,
Mhm.
the media that a lot of young Gen Zers and younger, like my even like my daughter's age, right? I believe
Mhm.
they're like Gen Alpha is what she is,
Yeah, she's Gen Alpha, yeah.
right? They're consuming complex stuff. The stuff that my daughter watches is
Mhm.
way more complex than what I used to watch at her age. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, okay, I take it back. I used to watch Star Trek,
Yeah.
but she'll watch like a lot of serial stuff and you know and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Um, so I don't buy this attention span thing, right? I
Mhm.
honestly think that I'm starting to realize the people that have been mostly one shot by social media are actually
Mhm.
boomers. Boomers and Gen
Yeah.
Xers are the people that
Yeah.
are the most brainwashed by the internet. And whenever you see the most retarded stuff posted on the internet, it's always a boomer or a Gen Xer
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of us millennials,
Yeah.
we were kind of like the initial people to get into the internet, or actually the Gen Xers were, but we were the first people to realize that it's actually not that good. And we
Yeah.
started rejecting it. We started pulling back. And we're the generation where we rejected our kids having like tablets and stuff, or we
Mhm.
started controlling it. And we're also the generation that started going, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be on the internet all no. But look at all social media. It's all like Gen Xers or boomers. That's
All
all like
the boomers that are still in charge of entertainment are
right.
going to get they have no idea how to reach Gen Alpha. Both my kids are on, like, the older end of Gen Alpha, like, my oldest is, like, right on the cusp between, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and in paying attention to them, and they were old enough to remember COVID, but young enough that they've mostly forgot it.
Right.
So, I think the younger Gen Alpha, the ones that were maybe, like, born around COVID, I think screen use, like tablet use and stuff has gotten way worse since COVID, which is really unfortunate, so they might be kind of fucked. But the older Gen Alphas, it's actually quite surprising how much they're rejecting a lot of this stuff. Like, my kids don't play the big AAA video games, they play a lot of indie games. Fuck, they still play Minecraft.
Right. Well,
Um,
that
like
Gen Z and Gen Alpha is a Minecraft generation, so
yeah.
they have the attention to build something in a video game,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
hours
for
and hours.
hours, like castles and stuff. And it's like, no, no,
Yeah.
you are being active. You are using your mind. You know, it's
Mhm.
interesting,
Yeah.
right?
I think, uh I think one of the problems with boys reading specifically, speaking of video games, is video games. And the argument is, well, in a video game, it's like a movie, it's like a book because you're interacting with a story or whatever their argument is. Uh, like, and for the record, I have played video games. Like, you know, I was at one time a gamer. Uh,
I was playing Sea
yeah,
of Thieves with my buddy before
yeah,
hopping on here.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
literally we took our sailboat and we raided a ghost pirate fort
yeah,
and we stole a bunch of boxes of tea, loaded it on our ship,
yeah,
and took it back to port and sold it to the Merchants Guild. Okay, and then I
yeah.
logged off and came up. That's where I was late by a minute because I'm like, oh, I gotta sell. I had to sell the tea, right? Or else,
Typical
like, I
male
would have lost
behavior.
it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the argument is made that like visually, it's fun, narratively, it is fun, and competitively, like it taps into that like little like lizard brain segment that makes boys very competitive,
Right.
and maybe they're not playing enough sports or something, but like that's why video games are so appealing to boys. And it's like, well, maybe if we can kick them off the video games long enough to get them to read. And it's like, well, then fucking give them books that are
They're
entertaining,
good.
that are
Right.
good, you know?
Right.
Like I said, I've got a Louis L'Amour book here. My youngest son is more of a fiction reader. He's read The Hobbit. He reads, like, he's read Louis L'Amour. He's read Howl's Moving Castles, one he read a few years ago. So
Right.
he's been a book reader since he was, I don't know, I think he started getting into chapter books maybe when he was like 8. He's 12 now. So it's been a few
Okay,
years.
let's be honest here. Okay? This is whenever
Yeah.
I hear people talk about this conversation,
Yeah.
right? When it's especially a generational thing, or people don't read
Yeah.
anymore, people don't do this anymore, right? Like
Mhm.
let's be fucking honest here, guys. Okay, I'm 43 years old, and I
Yep.
grew up before the crazy internet thing. None of my
Yep.
friends fucking read, okay, and they're all
Yep.
college educated people, and
Mhm.
reading was a minority in the 1990s and the 2000s
Yeah,
when I was
it's
growing up.
always been like,
All right,
especially, I don't know. I remember the most bookish kids, and I'm thinking girls because I'm a
right.
girl, but they were always considered weird
Right. Same thing with
if
the
you were
guys,
reading all the time. Yeah.
I was like the guy that like, oh, you read, so you must be really smart. No, I just really like to be depressed. Okay. Leave me
Yeah.
alone, bro. But like
Did it? Yeah. Yeah.
you had some friends that read. I remember one of my best friends, Jen, she read a lot. My friend Debbie
Mhm.
read a lot. But for the
Yep.
most part, most people didn't read. I didn't go to
Mhm.
like the bar in 2002 and like, yo, what you reading, bruh? No, nobody
Mhm.
read. Okay.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I had some friends that were like into like fantasy and they would binge read the Wheel of Time or whatever,
Yeah.
huge series. But we're not talking, unless your dad was
Mhm.
like a literature professor or something like that.
Mhm.
Like my mom was not a reader whatsoever. I don't think I've ever seen her read a book. Right. My dad, on the
Neither.
other
I don't
hand,
I don't remember actually seeing my parents read.
right.
Um,
So like I think,
yeah.
and they're
We had
very
books in the
intelligent
house, but I
people.
never actually saw them
Yeah.
reading.
My
Weird.
grandma read a lot back when she was younger, like when I was
Mhm.
little, but she kind of stopped reading.
Mhm.
There's this mythology of people reading all the time back in the day, and I don't buy it. Okay,
Mhm.
because walk up to your random boomer and ask them if they read like Dostoevsky, and 9 out of 10 of them won't even know what you're talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's be honest here, right?
Mhm.
It's always been a not a mainstream thing. There were mainstream books. That's what's different now. Back
Yeah.
in the day, there were some books that people read or pretended to have read, right?
Mhm.
Like people were like, oh, did you read the latest Stephen King? What they really meant is they watched the movie. 9 out of 10 people telling you
Yeah.
that actually just watched the movie,
Yeah.
and then one of them actually did read the book because they're
Yeah.
that guy that reads the books. But um, the truth is, it's not true. Okay, it's not true.
Mhm.
People didn't read as much more. I think the percentage of readers right now is probably about the same as it always was, because I think in and itself requires work. Now, for people in the chat, like Mr. Greg in the chat saying that he's having a hard time, attention span is lost, right? In my opinion, and I told this to my friend who started. He recently got into reading, right?
Mhm.
And he's really enjoying it. But he told me, he's like, man, sometimes I have a hard time, reading. And I told him, and I'm telling everybody, reading is like working out. Okay.
Yes. I
You
have I
can't,
have diagnosed ADHD. Like, I am a fucking spaz. But
right.
I am able to, and maybe this is why I do write and why I get so pissed off at people who are like, you're ableist. I have fucking diagnosed ADHD. I dropped out of college. I'm a retard, okay? And but because I love language, I love words, I love
Right.
how they are formed on a page. I don't know, whatever it is. It's like a switch goes off in my brain and I can hyper focus on reading. It's been harder lately because I have so many other things going on in my life, but it is a muscle like anything else. Like you said,
It
it's like
is.
working out. Start with, I don't know, say I'm going to read. Um, when I go through a really bad reading slump and I just can't seem to focus at all, I don't know. Have you tried listening to music while you read just to block out everything else in the world? Put some headphones on, do that.
You put on some like
Or
Russian doomer music while you're reading
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah, and
Dostoevsky. Yeah.
yeah, or even like white noise or something, or
And
maybe
you
just
you
say
have
to
to
yourself,
be you have to be honest with yourself, right?
yeah,
You don't go to the gym and okay, listen, You
You're not
don't
going to
really,
be deadlifting freaking 700 pounds the
right.
first
So
day of it.
you're not going to start your
Yeah.
reading, like, your reading year off with, like, Gravity's Rainbow by
Yeah.
Pynchon. Okay. I'm sorry. If
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you haven't, like,
Don't
put
do
that
that.
book down. Okay.
Yeah.
Put that book,
I love that book, but
put that
don't
book
start
down,
your reading
bro.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or, right. You'll pick, you're like, okay, I want to read something. You read like Neuromancer, by William Gibson, right? Read a few short books and then kind of roll into it. Like, I'll be honest, I will have years, and I will have years where I will read like 60 novels where I'm
Yeah.
reading like the Magic Mountain, and I'm reading like just insane, like, Foucault's
Mhm.
Pendulum. I read Foucault's Pendulum and Name of the Rose back to back, and I just all these books, and I'm just heavy books, right?
Mhm.
And that's usually when I'm traveling a lot, and
Mhm.
and I have a lot of time and my brain is like focused on it. And then, like, last year, I was just not feeling good. I've been a lot of pain before my surgery.
Mhm.
Even like this year, a lot of pain before my surgery, a lot of pain after my surgery. I don't have the focus to tackle. I have a bunch of books that are like some pretty heavy duty books, and because I'm still kind of recovering, I don't have the. I can't. It's like right now I can't go bench press. I wanted to try to go bench press the other day.
Mhm.
I'm not even supposed to, but I'm going to bench press, and I
Mhm.
could only, like, post surgery, I could only do like 10-pound plates on both sides, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so weak. Uh, I did physical therapy today, and I just my physical therapist, she's this like young woman in her mid-20s or
Mhm.
late 20s, and she's got this really cool last name. It's like basically like murder, but she's like this,
Yeah.
like, she looks like Thelma, like a skinny Thelma from Scooby-Doo.
Oh,
But
nice.
she's like, Alex, I want to have you do this with these bands and all this stuff. And I'm like, that looks stupid, right?
Yeah.
I can do that. She goes, you can go up if you want. And in my head, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go up and weight for sure, girl. I'm gonna pick them 25 pounders, and
Mhm.
then I'm like, after like a second with like the 2-pounders, I'm like, I can't, like, my arm is shaking from like the pain.
Yeah.
So you have to build yourself up, right? Your brain, your eyes, your focus is an organ, right? It's like your
Yeah.
mind's eye. Your
Yes.
mind's
Yeah.
eye is an organ.
Start with something that is legitimately like, this book sounds like a lot of fun. Start with something as soon, like, when I am trying to pick a new book to read, and especially I use this method when I'm in a slump, it has to hook me like right away. If you aren't really hooked in the first couple pages, pick a different one. Like, when you're starting to either renew a habit or start a reading habit from scratch, if don't listen to lit snobs on the internet being like, oh, genre novels are for stupid people. No, they're not actually. But yeah, just read something that just looks like you're gonna have a fun time.
Right.
And if you're
Or
having
or
fun
not have a fun time. Sometimes you
or
can
not
like
having,
you could
yeah,
have fun not having fun. Like, my
yeah,
entire
yeah, yeah,
life,
yeah.
I've had fun not having
Well,
fun.
yeah, and then the more you read, the more you will develop your tastes. Like, maybe I don't want to read fun books. Maybe I do want to read something that's depressing and poetic. Um,
Like,
you
don't eat
know,
caviar before you eat chicken nuggets, okay?
yeah, yeah, develop your tastes. And then once you've read enough books and you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you'll be more able to
To, like, do it.
to
What's
do it. Yeah.
it's very interesting. So when I met my wife, the first few years of us being together and after we got married, she was not a reader at all. She read a book every now and then,
Mhm,
but she never, like, it was never her thing. She was much more of a TV person. So,
mhm,
many, 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 like, times after a long day of work, we would get home, and I would sit on the couch or in a chair and read a book, and she would, watch Mad Men, or she
yeah,
watched, and I was like, I don't want to watch. I'm going to read instead. And
mhm,
sometimes I'd get into it and whatever, and then she would watch Breaking Bad and whatever,
mhm,
right? And
yeah,
that's how we used to do things, right? Like, I read, she watched TV, and everything was good. Recently though, and so she'd always say like, oh well, I want to get into reading more. I want to read more,
mhm,
and I would always tell her, like, just read whatever looks good.
yeah,
Don't stress out about, like, I think she would stress herself out about, like, oh, I need to read this book that everybody else is
yeah,
reading, or I need
yeah,
to
yeah,
I
yeah,
need, I need
yeah,
to read this classic book, and even the stuff I would offer to her, she would like it bounce off of her because like she just wasn't like it just wasn't her thing, you know.
Mhm.
And then she started reading and she started just picking books and she started, you know, she like a lot of like read a lot of thrillers and a lot of like weird
Mhm.
mysteries, and then she slowly got it, and now she reads everything. Now she reads nonstop, and
Yep.
she just had to. You have to get to it your own way. You have to find like the things
Yeah.
you love, and from the things you love, you move on to the, you know, to the other things. You know, don't force yourself to read like the classics because, you know, I'll be honest, some of the classics aren't that great, or they're not as fun to read. You know, like not everything. Like there's books that
Like if you are just reading for your own pleasure, who gives a shit
right.
what some you know, influencer suggests that you should read or whatever. Uh like a certain someone whose name we won't mention who says that you should only read whatever her Columbia, you know, Columbia College, whatever the hell.
The
Yeah.
Columbia or
Yeah.
Columbia girl,
Yeah.
like the like it's like I think she's just like
I'm so smart.
she's a
Yeah.
psyop of like the Jewish public, like the
Yeah.
Jewish public like publishing establishment,
Yeah.
because they can point to her and be like, see, we don't publish her, and she's Jewish and rich from Columbia, and we still
Yeah.
don't publish her. And
Yeah.
then it just proves that they're not that. I mean, how
Yeah.
can you be Jewish rich, go to Columbia, and still not get in with like the Jewish New York crowd? You know, like that
Yeah.
is completely like insane to me, but whatever. You know, that's kind of the joke of the her entire existence. But yeah, you don't have to read Moby Dick, you know.
Not right
But
away.
Moby Dick is good.
Yeah.
All right. But there's a lot of fantastic stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff, right? You should read
Mhm.
everything, right? You should read everything that you enjoy, and it ultimately reading is for fun, like it's a edifying, pleasurable thing. And if it's not
Yeah.
edifying and pleasurable, then don't freaking do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no point of
Yeah.
doing it. It's like running's fun and good for you, or some people find running fun and good for you. But if it sucked and it made you miserable, then don't do it, dude. It's not worth it, you know?
Mhm.
Good night, Mia. You can listen to the rest of it when we put it out probably tomorrow when I get around to editing it. But yeah, like to go back to us as writers, like the writer, I think
Mhm.
that one, you still have to believe in a novel. You have
Yeah.
to believe that it says something of
Mhm.
value to people, that it does
Mhm.
something that no other medium can do.
Yeah.
I think you have to approach it from a perspective of what do I have to add to this? Like, why? Because think about it, right? Why should you read me and not an AI?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not just reading to read, right? It's not, you're not just consuming product, next
Yeah.
product, right? Consume thing,
It's
next thing,
human
or whatever, right?
connection. Yeah.
There has to be, you have to be saying something of value. There has to be something of value created by you that
Mhm.
cannot be replicated by a machine or really by anybody. And that's really
Yeah.
what matters, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be replicated by anybody.
Mhm.
Like it has to have an artistic spike, like spark there. And you have to be able, I think we truly have to approach it from a perspective that I am gonna like we need to think about the medium, and a lot of people, especially like a lot of independent writers, don't really think about the medium itself. And I'm talking about in a meta kind of way,
Mhm.
where what does this art form, what can it do, right? That film cannot do,
Yeah.
right? And that's where you have to, you know, approach it, right?
Mhm.
Um, you know, you have like, I like the idea of writing unfilmable novels, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, right? I like the idea of filming unfilmable, you know, short stories. But
Mhm.
I'm also at the point where like I don't know if the novel, I like the idea of the novel, but I don't know if the book makes sense anymore, right?
Mhm.
And maybe, you know, we can expand the medium. Maybe we can, you know, like when you think about the 19th century, and this is like kind of what I was trying to lead the conversation to is, as an independent writer,
Okay.
sometimes a lot of small presses, or you know, like a lot of people, like, you know, like our Columbia friends,
Mhm.
they are so obsessed with, if they do go independent, just really recreating the 1970s and 80s of publishing,
Yeah.
right? Like what are you doing,
Which will
right?
never happen.
That
Ever.
model
Ever
doesn't
again.
work, and
Yeah.
obviously that model doesn't work for that industry right now. and they've got millions and millions of dollars, behind it. They're funded by, German conglomerates and that kind of stuff, right? So you and your small press or your friends or whatever are just out, like you're never going to compete with like Simon Schuster or whatever,
No,
and
it's the same
because
with
you
the
don't
music
have
industry. It's the same
right.
shit. Yeah.
So what are we doing? Like what is the point, right? Is the point to
Mhm.
get it out to as many people? Is the point to make a living out of it? Is it the point, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe you give it out for free. I don't know. You know what I mean? Right? Like
Mhm.
how did they do it in the 19th century? Most novels were serialized,
Yeah.
right? I don't think people really like listening to like, well, reading serials, like on Substack. I don't think that that's very successful. So how do you
I've
do
got
things?
I've got a couple thoughts on the Substack serial. One, I've done it, so I have some skin in that game. But anyway, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Wait, like what are some ways of approaching in the 21st century? Because it's like, are we just going to pretend that the model of like putting book in bookstore, question mark profit? Like what is,
Mhm.
like what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like what is the point, right?
Mhm.
Like when you write a book and you send it out into the universe, right? What is your goal at this point? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that like that's kind of what that's kind of what I want to ask somebody like Lisa, right? Because Lisa's the person that's complaining a lot about this kind of stuff, right? So she's
Lisa,
gonna
different Lisa,
different Lisa, yeah,
different Lisa.
Lisa with a Z, not an S.
Liza, yeah,
Liza,
Lives.
yeah,
Yeah. Or no, we weren't supposed. Oh shit! Now we're gonna get like I don't know, whatever.
whatever. Her or Laura London or people I
Yeah.
hate on Substack, they're all annoying. So
Yeah.
the idea is, I don't even have any beef with her. I'm just being a jerk.
Yeah.
The idea of it is like you're complaining about not being published. Okay, so what's the idea here, right? Like you're gonna write this masterpiece and it's amazing, and you're gonna give it to an agent. Agent is gonna, and you're
Yeah.
gonna what? They're gonna sell it at Barnes and Noble, and everybody's gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Wow, this book is so great. Let's talk."
Which
No, but
it probably
like,
won't even reach Barnes and Noble, and if it does, it'll instantly go into like the 3 for $10
right,
shelf, and then you'll never have a career because your book didn't sell well enough because
right.
they
Like
probably
what
didn't give you any PR or any whatever. I don't
Right.
know.
So
The
like
whole
what is
tried
the
and
expectation? That you're gonna become Stephen
yeah.
King, or you're gonna become, I don't know, what is like a really big literary writer? The guy that killed himself that wrote in Infinite Jest, what was his name?
Oh, Wallace. David Foster
Yeah,
Wallace.
Wallace. He was like the last one, right? And I guess you can
Pretty
read
much.
Donna Tartt. She's kind of big, but she wrote 2 novels or 3 novels, and
He,
uh
Pynchon is still kicking. Apparently, he
yeah,
hasn't died. I don't know.
yeah,
Cormac
so
McCarthy
like,
just recently died.
yeah, and he's kind of a genre writer, and I don't care what people say. He's totally a genre writer.
Oh yeah.
So what is like the goal here, right? And I think the answer to answer the question, my own question, like what is my goal? My goal is to do what we're doing now, guys. All
Yep.
right, and I've got, I think so. This book I'm writing, I think it sucks. It's horrible. I'm just joking. It's actually,
As is tradition, yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
awful. And I hope people read it and they want to talk about it. That's all I
Mhm.
want, right? That's
Yeah.
really, that's all I want, right? And if you want to throw me some money, I'd appreciate it, because
Yeah.
I need a new air conditioning, right? But realistically, like I just want it out there, right?
Yeah.
Um like
We're
how, like,
eventually going to die. And it's
right,
nice to know that, books don't expire. And like 50 years after I die, somebody might pick my book out of somebody's, little free library or something. Be like, oh, what is this? And then who knows? Who knows? That'll be the next, 50 years after I'm dead, maybe I'll finally get a movie adaptation
right.
because some influential person found my book in a dumpster. I don't know.
Well, it's just the reality.
You don't know. You
The
have no idea.
reality of it. Yeah, the reality of it is that like writing a novel takes a lot of effort. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of skill that requires a lot of like practice. And there's a, and a good 80 to 90% of it is talent that you just can never get, unless
Yeah.
you don't know if it's going to be good until you die.
No,
So like
you really
you,
don't. You
right.
really don't know.
And I don't think that, like, I mean, people can practice and practice and practice and practice and write, and they can max out their practicing and their technique, but they'll never like have that spark. There's just something there that
Yeah.
like you have it. It's kind of like the difference between an amazing like gold medalist athlete, like those like peak ones. Those like once every like those Kobe Bryants, once every like 30-year, like Michael Jordan type athletes, and then somebody that's really, really good, like we've all had that like that example where like we've known people in our small towns or from our like friend group where they're like really amazing at something. They're really amazing at something, but then you see them go up to the next level and you're like, whoa, wow, you're not that good compared to like the big boys. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the same thing with writing. It requires a level of spark that sometimes some people just don't have. It's just a natural talent, So the question is, you're not doing this for business, right? Because if you're trying to be a independent writer because you're trying to make money, that's an absolutely retarded thing. Okay. Like the amount of effort it takes to even write one book, you could have spent, I don't know, getting a MFA, like, like a I don't know, business degree or learning how to trade stock or something, you know what I mean? Like there's you could have, I don't know, like the amount of time I've spent writing, I could have, gotten 2 PhDs or I could have become a MD in the amount of time and effort I've spent. Right. And it's not very pleasurable either. And there's just so much better ways of making money and spending your time if your goal is to improve yourself financially, so I don't buy it. Like, I don't like, I think that a lot of people need to realize like, hey, I want to be a writer because I want to put stuff out and I just want to put it out in the world,
Yeah.
That's why I tend to become
I want people to notice me and I want people to I don't know. I don't know. What else is what else? We're all secretly neurotic attention seeker dorks.
Right.
I don't know. What is it about
some people like write books and put them on the internet. Other people become mass shooters. It's like different things for attention. Like, and that's kind of played out already. So like we gotta come up with a new thing. Like for a while we had the serial killers, then we had the mass shooters. What's next? I don't know. TikTok creators, podcasters. We all do it because it's fun. But I think that's the key, man. I think it's supposed. Is it fun? Are you getting something positive out of it? And I think we need to be realistic about it, that the novel reading, not, actually, I take it back. Everything we do, we are living in I'm starting to think that more and more that the 20th century, the cultural milieu of the 20th century was a very, very unique century. I feel like you never had a century that compared to the 20th century. And I don't think you're going to have one that has the same like vibe or feel culturally, where there was this unified mass culture. And by the end of the 20th century, it became a mass, unified, universal kind of culture with Hollywood, film industry, television industry, just mass. In the early 2000s, really up until recently, it was still somewhat unified. And we don't have that, right? Like, can there ever be a rock star?
No.
Because people say, "Oh, the book's dead," but not only is the novel like dead culturally, right? Everything is dead culturally. Like, can we have movie stars anymore?
There's too many little micro communities on the internet. Like the internet totally annihilated the macro culture. Right. Can you hear my dog whining? She's been whining for a while.
No, I can't hear it at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? Like, I can't name a movie star that wasn't from like the Gen X. Like all the movie stars still are like Brad Pitt and stuff, and they're Gen Xers. They're old movie stars. I guess you can say Timothy Chalamet, but he's not a movie star in any way, shape, or form. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Right? Like there just really isn't. There isn't any, any amazing directors. It's all very niche, right? That's
what's really surprising about the recent movie hits, Backrooms and what was the other one? I haven't seen either of them. Obsession. Yeah, they're both Gen Z directors. That's what's so mind-blowing about these big hits. Right. So maybe this is going to be another like 90s 2.0 where a bunch of young indie film directors do their thing. We don't know that. So that's what's like, I haven't seen these movies, but the fact that they are young directors, it makes me very optimistic.
Right, right. I mean, that's why, like we said, like last
Mhm.
week on the podcast, that's why exactly what I was talking about, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a new, it's different. It's a rejection of, and it's interesting, like the kind of the response to these YouTube directors making like basically small budget independent kind of movies. I
Mhm.
think Obsession was made with $750,000, which is nothing compared
Yeah.
to like the millions and millions and millions that Steven Spielberg spent on the Disclosure Day movie
That
that
everybody
everybody's been
says
shitting
sucks.
on
Yeah.
because it looks like the ultimate boomer slop, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, and I've
He's out
realized
to
this for a
lunch.
while. I've always been a niche person. Okay.
Yeah.
I've always been into niche stuff, right? When I
Yeah.
was young, I was into like weird new wave goth music and punk, and nobody else listened to the same stuff. The books I
Yeah.
was into, nobody else like. It was something I prided in myself. Our generation was like, "Oh, have you ever heard of these guys?" Of
Yeah.
course you haven't, because you're not cool
Yes.
enough, freaking
Yeah.
poser. We were supposed to be like
I
niche.
was listening to them before they were cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was reading Charlotte Hairston before he publishes his next book called White Men, which is going to be the masterpiece of the internet, in my opinion. Anyways, we'll talk
Yeah.
about that some other episode,
Yeah.
guys. Sneak preview. I knew Shag Dick before Shag Dick shagged the Dukes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, let's be honest here, right? Like, it's always going to be niche. We're living in the world of microcultures. So what we have to do is we have to be present in the microculture, right?
Yeah.
So that's the trick. What we're doing here is really what matters, right? There is no, UPN or Fox television channel where we're going to watch The Simpsons. Nobody's going to like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
A show like The Simpsons cannot exist anymore, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes things break through, like Stranger Things was kind of a cultural phenomenon, right? Like where everybody I knew watched it or commented on it. You'll get
Mhm.
the occasional, like, what's the one that everybody's watching right now? Like recently was Euphoria. That's like one of the
Yeah.
shows that people still talk about.
Up until Game of Thrones shit the bed, that was a very
Right.
big
That
cultural
was a huge
thing, yeah.
one. There's occasional like movies and stuff that people watch, but
Mhm.
ultimately it's very niche, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, I've talked about the Amazing Digital Circus,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I've never heard of this. I felt like such a boomer. I felt like an unk. Okay. I felt like a straight
Mhm.
up unk, right?
Mhm.
Like a
Mhm.
chopped unk, bros,
Yep.
because I'm sitting here, my daughter's like, oh, dad, you should watch my 8-year-old. You should watch this show. It's about these people trapped in a computer, blah, blah. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what kind of nonsense is, and they watch it. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm
Mhm.
like, how come I've never heard of this? Like, I'm cool, man. I know stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm the guy that shows people stuff. All right. I'm the guy at work that's like, hey man, you should, you know what I mean?
We're not
That's my
cool
thing.
anymore. We're
No, no,
old.
no. I'm still cool, guys. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I have great taste and stuff. And if you
Yep.
listen and watch and like play the things I'm into, you will not be disappointed. Have I
Mhm.
ever disappointed anybody ever? No. I pride
Mhm.
myself in having taste. Okay.
Yeah.
Wealth and taste, or just
Mhm.
taste, because I don't have much wealth. But I'm the guy
Yeah.
that's like, hey, you should watch Chainsaw Man. It's great. Or hey, you should watch this anime. Or hey,
Yeah.
you should watch this, read this book.
Mhm.
But then here I go, I completely missed this freaking insane like YouTube like amazing show made by this weird trans woman
Mhm.
uh named Gooseworks. And I look at it and it's like, you look at the first episode and there's like a billion like views on it, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
talking about like a billion views on like
Yep.
the 9 episodes available. And then the movie itself, they put out the 9th episode in theaters 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago. Nobody knows what it is. Every single like viewing in my small town in South Carolina is sold out
Yep.
before I even knew about this movie. And
Yep.
like I said, it's sold out, and it's a YouTube episode. It's not in a movie. It's the last episode of a YouTube show, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just go in there and watch it and like, oh, it's a movie, I'll watch the show afterwards. Oh, no, no, no. You have to watch the movie to understand what the fuck is going on in this thing, right?
Yeah.
And you have to watch the whole show, right?
Yep.
And it made like $32 million in one day, right? And then it comes
There
out
are
it comes
the
out tomorrow, right? It comes out tomorrow for free for everybody on the internet. For you, it's full.
yeah.
It's going to be on YouTube tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So they just did it out of for shits and giggles, and it's like huge, right?
Yep.
So obviously, it's got this entire secret culture to it that I've never
Mhm.
even heard of. So I'm like, God,
Mhm.
I'm hunk, bro. How do I not
Yeah.
know this?
Yeah.
That's the future, man. That is the
There
future.
are YouTubers that my sons watch. Like I said, they play Minecraft, and there are some people who construct entire narratives and will write stories and whatever and play out the stories on their Minecraft world for YouTube, like whatever, like. And my one son will holler up the stairs at my other son, "Oh, what's his face uploaded a new video today, come watch it," like how we used to do in the 90s when it's like, "Hey, Power
Right.
Rangers is on TV, get in the house," the same sort of thing, except it's some random YouTuber who has
Right.
a few thousand subscribers that happened my kids happen to see, and they've become fans of them or whatever. It's a different ecosystem. It's just really the boomers of the powers that be still have no idea
No
how to do
clue.
the internet. No
No
fucking
clue.
clue at all. And that's why
Right.
like Gen Alpha is, when all these boomers finally fucking die off, Gen Alpha is going to be so eventually, what am I trying to say? Eventually it will be the millennials in charge of entertainment. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing,
I
but
don't
like
know. Yeah.
eventually it will happen.
Yeah.
As
We'll
as
have
a
to see
millennial.
if we're up to the task. But
But
so
yeah, the Gen Alpha, I mean, my son's going to be getting his driver's license this year. Okay, so they are going to become the tastemakers of internet culture, if like the older ones already are in some cases. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how young Gen Z and elder Gen Alpha are going to
like
shape
shape the
shape
future. I mean,
shape things. Yeah.
it's wild, the other day we went for my daughter's birthday. We wanted to take her out to dinner on her actual
Hmm.
birthday, not during her party, but like her actual birthday.
Hmm.
She wanted to go eat. She wanted to eat seafood. Specifically wanted crab. So we went to this nice restaurant that had like one of those like crab like places where like they throw a bucket of crab on the table, and I ate a pound of shrimp and I paid for it afterwards. I was like, why the hell did I eat a pound of shrimp? Like.
Yeah.
But we get up there and it's really busy because
It's
it's kind of in a
tasty.
touristy area, and the we go up to the host, right? And it's like this young girl, probably in her like early 20s. My
Mhm.
daughter's wearing her like a Demon Slayer shirt, and it's not like it's not like an obviously a Demon Slayer shirt. It doesn't say like
Mhm.
Demon Slayer on it. It's got like it's got the Mist Hashira in it, and it's kind of a side character that's like her crush character because whatever, right? And
Mhm.
the host is like this 20 cute little white girl with red hair, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's blah 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 from Demon Slayer," and she's like starts talking. She goes, "That's not my favorite. My favorite is blah blah blah." So they're geeking out with she's geeking out with my 8-year-old about like anime
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Unk, bro,
Yeah.
But the thing
Back
is,
in
I
my
knew about
day.
all those characters that she was talking
Mhm.
about, right? And I'm like, man, so see, like I feel like sometimes I'm disconnected from like the
Oh,
the
yeah.
Gen
Yeah.
Z
Yeah,
to
for
alpha
sure.
conversation. So how how do you have somebody like think of the level of failure that like surrounded Steven Spielberg, right? They're
Mm.
like, let's make a movie, bro, and spend millions of dollars where like the plot is about like releasing alien information to the media
Yeah.
because that's how like people believe things because like Fox News is going to put out like bro like every news channel can come out with like actual footage of aliens and
Mhm.
people be like, yeah, that's fake, nobody believes it. Like people
Yep.
don't believe that we landed on the moon or that the earth is round.
Yep.
Okay, so they're going to believe like the whole plot of that movie is absurd. The more I read
Mhm.
about it, I'm like you could have just done this whole thing by just uploading it onto YouTube and the whole movie's over, you know?
Mhm.
And why do people keep on casting that woman in movies? Okay. I don't feel in her in any way, shape, or form like
Who
charismatic
is
or
it?
interesting. The same one that was in that freaking what is her name? She's British and sort of annoying.
Which one?
All
I
British
don't
people are
know.
annoying.
I haven't paid attention to that movie at all because it just sounds so stupid, and I haven't heard anything positive about it.
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I don't
know
know
who that is.
why. Like, I really like just cannot stand her as an actress at all. Like, I don't know why people like her. I just find her like completely like she lacks any charisma, you know, like she just got like negative charisma, and I don't get it. I just don't get it, you know, and
Mhm.
you know, just like it's like let's get the most annoying people like Colin Firth and stuff, just the most annoying people in that movie. It's like the most boomery movie of all time. It's just so like it's dated before it even comes out, and the
Yeah.
whole plot, I guess, and because I finally looked into it because I was like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's really good. The whole plot is about them, her, because she's a or weather girl or something. She's going to release the information. She's going to get it to the right media people, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? It's 2026. Spielberg, did nobody tell you about the internet? Have you not heard about this thing or
Yeah.
fake news?
Like, at least make it a period piece or something.
Like if your million billion dollar movie is like not even as good or as smart as like your average like 1995 episode of X-Files, you probably should have like you should retire, you know? And yeah, that's how I feel about that. But Lisa, thank you for joining me
No problem
last
at
minute. It
all.
was wonderful.
Yeah. I hope
Um,
people aren't sick of hearing my voice because I plan on coming on
no,
it
I
again if
I
nobody
think
objects, you
well, I enjoy talking. You know, I don't care about them, to be honest. I'm sorry, guys.
know?
I mean, I love
Yes,
you guys,
you do it for
and
you. Yes.
there's the people that listen live, and then
Yeah.
there's like the 4 million downloads that we get, and people
Yeah.
comment, and then like I said, I actually forgot to tell you guys. Well, Fisto couldn't make it, and I said, "Oh, guys, I'm not going to do an episode this week. I don't really feel like it. I just want to play video games or something, right?"
Mhm.
And I 2 days ago, I was sleeping and I had a dream about doing a podcast with you. I was like, oh, you know what? I had a dream where like I was talking to you like this in the
Oh,
podcast, and I
wow.
woke up and I was like, you know what? I should ask her to cover for Fisto tomorrow. You know, so I
Aw,
did. So it was really
oh,
like
I
so.
like that story.
This whole episode, like, because I messaged you really early in the morning. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
I just woke up and I was like, I should really message her about it and see if she
Yeah.
wants to do it.
Yeah.
So this is all based on a dream because initially
Your dream
I
come
told Fizz, I'm like, we're not
true.
gonna do it. We're just gonna skip it because I'm gonna be tired this week anyway, so it's good.
Oh,
But I don't know. It was
that's
a
cool.
dream. It was a dream inspiration.
Yep.
Um, for the rest of you guys, I just got a rough draft copy of an amazing novel that I read half of it already before the second half was done, but I have the full copy of one of
Mhm.
my favorite, the greatest independent writer out there, one of the best independent writers out there, Sky Hernstrom.
Mhm.
And this book is going to be like it's gonna be a banger.
Mhm.
Well, everything I've read so far, I've read about half of it already, is a banger, and I
Mhm.
could not wait to get the second half and for him to finish it. And literally, like he just it wasn't written yet. That's why I didn't read it. But he finally sent it to me, and I'm going to finish reading it soon, and it's going to get published, right? And it's going to come out. But it's going to be a Pylon Press book. But this
Yep.
book is amazing. Like I'm telling you guys ahead of time is I'm so freaking excited about it, right? Like
And
I want
if the name rings a bell, he has or I guess even if he has if nobody's heard of him, I guess I'll just chill. Uh he has done stuff for DMR Books. He has done stuff for multiple different zines, either Sword and Sorcery zines or TTRPG zines. He has done short stories for Pylum, and he also has not just in collections, but he also has an anthology through Pylum Thune's Vision.
right and one through
So
DMR also.
so so my question is, if people are familiar with his Sword and Sorcery short stories, how much of a detour
Oh, this is a big detour.
thematically, yeah, is it
This
from
is a
his other
big,
stuff?
not thematically. I think the spirit is still there,
Yeah.
but this is a contemporary story. It's
Okay.
more I can't even it's so good. I'm I sent him a message. I'm gonna get you a copy of it ahead of time for sure because I
Oh,
want you
nice.
to read it.
Okay.
And he's a fan of yours. I think he's read Palace. And he's actually one of
Oh, has he?
the
Oh, that's cool.
he's one of the very few people I've actually like not very few, but I've actually met him in person. I
Mhm.
traveled to his city one day. He lives closer to you than to me, right? And
Mhm.
we were out there for a wedding a few years ago, and I was like, "Hey, man, let's hang out, dude." And he's like, "Oh, hell yeah!" So we hung out and we wandered around downtown. And this, I'm not gonna like dox him, but this big city up north, and he showed me around. And he's first of all, he's giant. Like I'm not short by any means.
Well, his name is Skylar Hernstrom. That's a very muscular name.
Like I thought he was like a big dude when you see him in pictures, and then like I met him. I'm like, damn, I like this big old dude, like tall. And I think I sent you a picture. I don't know if I shared a picture.
No,
I'll have to find it because he was standing next to me and my daughter, and like he's just this huge giant guy, but he's a great artist. He does a bunch of stuff on Twitter, on X, where he shares a lot of like these kind of like heavy metal style, like insane like Euro style comics, like Euro sci-fi like fantasy comics on Instagram. He's just one of the craziest and most interesting dudes ever. And he's a fantastic writer. And for you guys that haven't talked as much about it, I'm kind of trying to refocus this podcast back to literature and media and entertainment, away from politics. I'm just burnt out on political type stuff or any like drama type stuff. But if you haven't read the Pile and Press stuff, please do. Like Shagduck is such a fantastic novel. It's people saying, "Oh, I haven't been reading a lot lately or I haven't been enjoying myself." Read Shagduck. It's a book that reads like a melting butter on a pancake, basically. That's the vibe it has. Like it hits the sweet spot between not being easy. It's complex. There's some maximalism to it. I've had to actually stop a few times and like look up a detail because there's one thing in Shagduck that I was like, there's no way he got this perfect detail about who is playing this baseball game on this date or whatever. It was too perfect, right? Yeah. And I looked it up and I was like, this motherfucker actually did. Like I like fact checked a bunch of stuff in the novel.
Yeah, the interview that you guys did was really neat, especially after having read the book, and then there was so much about background info. So it's always pretty cool. Very cool.
Right. It's great. So go to the Pile and Press website and read Shagduck. I'll share it in the post when I put out the episode. And then obviously, if you buy all of Lisa's books and then stand by, because my book should be out in the next few months. All three of them, right? I own all three. I haven't read all three. And honestly, guys, if you have a book you are sharing or you want me to read, tell me, I'll buy it. Doesn't mean I'll read it right away because I do have like life ADD basically, but I'll eventually get to it. All right. I've read books people like recommended or like asked me to like, hey, we should read this book. Tell me what you think. And then like 5 years pass and I'll read it. And like, I forgot how to get a hold of the person or whatever, or like I've read books by people that like gave up writing. Like I read the book 5 years later and I'm like, okay, well, I guess there's never going to be another book, but whatever. All right, guys, have a good night. And we'll be same time next week, whether anybody shows up or not. I will still be here and Fisto should be back if he's still cool. If he's still cool with us. He's probably listening right now. I'm take the day off. The day off. No.
Loser.
Back to work. Oh, and I forgot. And on Saturday, I'm recording a podcast with Mr. Jason McGinty. Right?
Oh, very cool. Friend of the show. I'm not sure. Actually, no. You guys have done. Have you interviewed?
Yes, but I'm going on his show.
Yes, the old switcheroo
and stuff. Yeah. And it's funny because somebody at work came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, you're gonna be on that Jason McGinty podcast I've been listening to." And I'm like, what? How do you know this? Like, I don't even know this stuff. I don't know if it's gonna be live though. I think it's gonna be a recorded one. My brain is like so scattered like lately. So hopefully I'll be entertaining. But you have to check out Jason's stuff. Him and his partner. It's actually one of the listeners from here that knows, but he listens to your guys' stuff too. There's a lot of people that I know that listen to this podcast, but aren't particularly in the chat that actually also listen to Jason's podcast because they heard Jason's the episodes here. So, but all right, guys, have a good night. We will see you guys all next week and pick up the books we talked about. And then please let me know books that you want me to read because I always want to read stuff. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Have a good night. Good night.